I guess we have the agenda in front of you. Are there any additions or changes? Hearing none.
Move to accept.
Move to accept the agenda. So we got a first by David, a second by Dan. All those in favor, I'd say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. You have the minutes in front of you. Would you please review the minutes? See if there's any changes.
Second.
First by Rick, second by Nancy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right. Old business. Is there any old business to be brought from the floor? Hearing none, we'll go to new business, and we will get the manager's report from Rob in a second. Oh, you're
All right, well, thank you. Let me start off by saying that I received word earlier today from City Administration that a message to Cabinet that the interim finance director of the City of Fargo has been named Director of Finance.
Yes!
With the City of Fargo. That is subject to Fargo City Commission approval on September 5th meeting, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. I guess this is a public meeting, so you
I'm
can't put
ahead.
that out. But so just I wanted to offer my congratulations to Susan with that, and obviously you guys have all worked with her for a long time, so very proud of her, and as always, proud to call her a coworker and colleague. Moving on then to the financial report, page 3 of your packet. As always, the left-hand side of the paper is the month, which would be the month of July 2023. The right hand is the year to date. For the month of July, we had 8 event days with total attendance of 12,600, or 12,800, about 4,800 above the budget at 8,000, which kind of leads into the rest of the comments. We had ancillary incomes or event-related income of 128,000 compared to a budget of 68,000, and we had indirect expenses of just over 513,000, but favorably comparing to the budget at 541,000. So for the month of July, which is typical, we did have a deficit of 233,000, but that was $100,000 higher than the budgeted $334,000 deficit. Basically, the event we had in July was USA Wrestling, and that was about $63,000 above budget. Very strong attendance. They've set, I think every record there was set could be set was set. Wrestlers, attendance. We had a lot of people camping overnight here and parking every day, and food and beverages up along with merchandise. And then also, this was the last year that our catering for the backstage area didn't get into the budget, since that was started last year and with our budget cycle. It didn't always get in. Also, interest continues to run well, about 20,000 above budget on the other income. And on the expense side, labor was below budget due to the aforementioned down one full-time staff member here at FARGODOME. And the operations department was about 20,000 below budget. I think our summer's a little confused since it was really hot to begin with, kind of cool in the middle, and apparently it's going to get really hot again here at the end. But so with steam and electricity, we're a little lower than budget, so about 20,000 below budget on the operations side. Any questions on the month of July? Given that, then, for year to date, we've had a total event days of 54 event days, a total attendance of just over 227,000, or about 3,000 above budget. We have had total event income of just over 1.8 million compared to a budget of 1.6, so about 200,000 above budget. We've had expenses also above budget by about 109,000. Expenses of 3,048,000 compared to a budget of 2 million $940,000. So we do have a net deficit at the end of July of $60,000. However, that is favorably comparative to a $248,000 budgeted deficit. August will be a little bit different story, in September and October moving forward. So still comfortable that we are looking at through the end of the year to meet our overall budget for the year. Any questions on any of the financials?
Mr. Chair, the Finance Committee did receive the financials at the Wednesday meeting and approved as presented, so at this time I would make the same motion.
I need a second.
Second.
Nancy?
Yes.
Blake?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Troy?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
All right. Moving on then to the calendar. Since our last meeting, which was July 25th, we just finished USA Wrestling. We then did host the Def Leppard Motley Crue concert on Friday, August 11th. They did a pre-rig and move-in on Thursday the 10th. Great attendance at that, very busy. Summer and August concerts always seem to be a bit of a challenge staffing-wise, stagehands, front of house, food and beverage, but everybody in the end, after a lot of scrambling, came together, got it all done. Had over 17,000 people here, successful event. And if that wasn't enough, turned right around, got the building cleaned up and pink, started moving in on Wednesday, August 16th with the catering side, and then full pre-rig and load in on Thursday the 17th and Friday the 18th with the show on Saturday the 19th. Great attendance again, nearly 20,000 people or more for that show, and loaded out through the early afternoon of Sunday, August 20th. And that pink show was their full stadium show that, other than, I think they cut off 4 or 5 semis that didn't have the roof structure, but the whole stage structure and everything came in, and it was shoehorned into this building. So it was interesting to say the least, but we have never seen labor calls that high with 150 stagehands. So when you add on riggers and forklift drivers, all the skilled labor was over 200 people for the out. But they got the show down in 3.5 hours and out of the building, and then took the stage down as they got down to Omaha after that. But it was a great show. It kind of put a magnifying glass on some of the things you might be talking about later here, but also everybody came together and got it done, and it was good to see everybody come in the same frame of mind to just get things done and get it out of here. Any questions on past events, comments from the board? Okay, and then after our meeting today, which is the 29th, we start football. It is here. So NDSU is practicing over at their indoor practice facility. They kick off their season later this week. The home opener will be upcoming next Saturday, the 9th, versus Maine. And then on Thursday the 14th, the NDSU College of Health Professions has a career fair and scholarship program that is in the 200 level, the lobby, and the East Concourse. Quickly flipping back into NDSU hosting Central Arkansas on the 16th. And then the turf will get moved off, and the NDSU Career and Advising Center will be having their fall and engineering tech expo career fair move in on the 19th of September with their event on the 20th, which takes us up to the next meeting on the currently scheduled for the 26th of September. Any questions, comments from authority members for past or upcoming events? As you recall at our August meeting, this is our August meeting, so we'll say, as you recall at our July meeting, I did mention that I will not be here for the September 26th FARGODOME Authority meeting. I will be out of state with my family, and so instead of just me and my wife, we added my son now, so it'll be okay now. You can stricken my comments from last month's meeting from the record. So I don't know if you want to discuss the date of the September meeting, or if you want to do that later, or if you just decide to keep having it on September 26th, and I will be absent.
Committee?
When would be your next available?
I would be back, so we could have it the following Tuesday. What is that, October 3rd? If you wanted to keep it on that. I will be out of the office from Friday the 22nd through Friday the 29th.
So October 3rd would be the next Tuesday.
Or I can also, if you want to have it, I can attempt to call them as well.
Nancy, Blake, Rick, Troy, Dan?
I'm on the 22nd or 6th as well, so not that I need to be here, but the 3rd and 4th of October, that would be.
Third is fine for me.
Third
Finance
works
meets
here.
when? When is finance?
Finance will meet
20th.
Wednesday the 20th.
20th. And can we combine everything that day or no? Where's that?
Well, we wouldn't have the minutes ready.
You know,
I don't have a good answer.
the building and finance would approve the minutes anyways at their next meeting.
We would not, that's gonna be, I guess you have to have the financials ready anyways.
Just, yeah.
I don't know if we can actually combine the meetings, or we'd have to have one.
Or do it the same day?
Right.
Or just do it later?
Okay. I can make it, it was just a question. Otherwise, I can make the 3rd work.
All right, so you're gonna think about it. We haven't sent notices out yet, so we'll work through it in the coming days, let everybody know.
Yeah, we don't have much on the agenda for that, right? Next month. We're gonna take care of some of the bigger issues today, but.
Some of it, there'll be some other procedural stuff, assuming moving forward. But they will be on the 20th. They were gonna be here that day anyway, so not a whole lot, no. Okay. All right.
Okay.
If there are no other questions, comments, that would end my report.
All right. 3B, committee reports. David?
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Item number 1A, that's the financials. We've already accomplished that. 1B, the project and capital updates. Rob shared the presentation discussion for the FARGODOME Remodel Convention Center expansion. More on that here once we're done with that. There was just a late discussion, and the other item for projects was football turf. The turf is back on the floor. The AstroTurf began to fix the leaders starting later next week. So that is in progress. The 1C is the escrow balance performance report. That is information that is just received at the Finance Committee level, so that was received. And with that, Mr. Chair, that would conclude the committee report.
Okay, so we will call on Nancy,
Yes.
Blake.
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
Dan.
Yes.
Troy.
Yes.
Dave.
Yes.
All right. I'd like to just go back to our conversation. So at the next building and finance committee, is there anybody that will make that meeting?
That's the.
Finance and
Well, that's the building.
building and finance.
Yeah, I will be there. I'll most of September. I may not be able to do that.
I can't do the 20th either. I think we should just move to the 3rd October.
Pretty sure we just lost our whole finance committee for the 20th.
Now you-
October
now
3rd,
you
sounding
speak.
better all the time.
You gotta provide some little more information.
I think
out.
if once you go back and look at the record, you'll hear that we said, the comment was, we'll let you know later. Well, this is later, but apparently it's not gonna be on the 20th.
Yeah, so, okay.
Sorry about that, I should have looked at my calendar.
All right, we'll go to 3C, discussion of the FARGODOME remodel.
I would just start it off by saying thank you for your attendance at last Tuesday's presentation to the FARGODOME Authority and the City Commission regarding the overall project. We have the videos and things if you'd like to go over that again. However, all of you were present at that meeting, so I don't know if that's necessary. My apologies, I forgot to introduce Ian McLean, who is Assistant City Attorney. Here, if you have any questions or concerns regarding anything, he is potentially able to answer them, but he's an attorney, so good luck.
Oh, great faith.
And so, are there any questions, comments, other than business at hand that the FARGODOME Authority would have? So as we discussed in that meeting, there is a lot of things that could happen at the September 5th meeting, one of which would obviously, assuming be a recommendation from the FARGODOME Authority to move forward with the project as presented. In addition to that, the City Attorney's Office will be likely presenting some resolution language, some suggested ballot language that they will handle with that side of things in order for that special election plus the amendments to the Home Rule Charter to allow for that, any of the new taxes there.
I have a question that has to do with this resolution here, the motion, but I'm not sure what the time would be to ask that. Because it's a combination of funding, and maybe knows better. So we talked about 30 million of the trust funds, and the permanent fund, and the motion don't refer to any number, but the permanent fund will not proceed or up to, and I'm curious as to, is that be appropriate or inappropriate to suggest that there's a limit that we feel comfortable with coming out of the trust fund, the permanent fund. And that's what's been presented, $30 million to everybody. So Chris, we shouldn't put that in there. But I mean,
So you're asking if 30 million should be up, the top and the bottom? That's
well,
the
no,
number.
up to.
Up to that.
That's what's been presented, that's what I'm
Yeah.
comfortable with. I'm just curious if there's been any thought to that as far as why that's not, or why we haven't thought about it, that's my question.
I am not aware of any reason that it was intentionally left out. It might have just been an omission that I would apologize for.
No,
If you want to amend it, or in a motion to say that it would be up to $30 million out of the FARGODOME Permanent Fund, which is that third level, that would be, because you are right, that is what was presented in all.
And I don't know if the rest of the board feels like, but since we've presented that, we've talked about that, I just feel more comfortable suggesting up to 30 million.
I would say from a management perspective, I would probably tend to agree and say that I would like to see a cap in there so that it's not just all of a sudden spend it all.
Because right now we don't have a cap. in
Right,
this motion.
and so if you were to change the language, that it would say up to $30 million out of the permanent fund.
All right, I just want to run that by the group before we come to the
But again,
motion.
I am only FARGODOME management,
Robert,
so.
value your opinion, trust me, so.
And I'd add that all the modeling was off at 30 million, correct me if I'm wrong, Susan, it was all modeled off at 30 million, so yeah, that's in line with what we've been talking about.
Is the question that, or is the question when we send it forward? Because, in other words, is it a sentence addendum as opposed to part of the resolution? I think is what I'm really asking. Because the other two parts have to go to a vote of the general city population. That does not. So Do you hear what I'm saying? I'm wondering about the where.
And this is not a ballot question issue, this is
Right.
just our motion
Correct.
to the city.
Okay.
So it's not the ballot.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
You're saying we
Ian-
should just
Ian,
write
what
it
I
in
would say
there.
is, correct me if I'm wrong, the FARGODOME Authority has the approval powers through their powers already granted through the initial Home Rule Charter Amendment from the 1988 vote to set, or I guess quote unquote request, the FARGODOME operating capital budget and subsequent adjustments. Those need to be ratified by the Fargo City Commission. So your motion as part of this is saying that as a FARGODOME Authority, part of your funding strategy for this is to use up to $30 million of the FARGODOME Permanent Fund. And then asking the City Commission
So it's an addendum
for a
at the
public
top.
vote to put it on to that. The resolution language is,
Very different thing.
very separate,
Yeah,
longer,
this is
because it was
more-
written more so by attorneys, so it's really long.
It's just our motion.
Right, correct.
Just cannot
And
get away from it.
this motion is what the FARGODOME Authority's role
Would be.
in moving this project forward would be.
You don't wanna have it be a percentage, do you, up to 80% of the current balance? If there's a market.
Current
trade,
as of what?
So
As
that's
of when?
Published value is-
Over 20
Yeah,
years, so you keep
published
going.
value.
As of
And
when?
again, as this fall or next
Whenever,
fall, construction
I don't know.
I think
I think the
all
dollar's
of the,
easier.
it's been used as $30 million. I think if, we've talked about this, even at the building finance committee meetings, I know Lori DeKaiser brought up about, is it time to look at moving some of that money somewhere else to quote unquote protect it, if we're gonna use it for that? If something were to happen that the permanent fund and the earnings or investment losses would dip below that, I think we're in a different time.
Yeah.
So that there might be
Correct me
bigger.
if I'm wrong, but realistically, this isn't going to a vote, right? So let's say that the market crashes and we have to adjust that amount, isn't that just going to be another motion by this group back to the city saying we're adjusting that?
Correct.
Ian,
Yes.
Yeah.
If I
So-
may. But then we have to have some input on that then. It's not just the city says, hey, this deal's gonna be a lot better if we go 40 million.
Right.
And
And
then
that,
we're going like, okay,
Right,
so that's why you're saying up to 30 million.
yes,
okay.
that's my thought
Yeah.
process on
And all the modeling ever been done using that number, everything we put out as far as the communications has said that. So it'd be consistent if we stuck with that.
It feels fair.
that. Prefer that.
And so then, let's assume that it came in at 32 million, we can always amend that to 32 million. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, it's our first brush at putting the number out there, what we've been saying is 30 million is what our commitment is, and from the permanent fund, so.
Do we need the investment earnings on the remaining 10 for capital projects going forward? Or is that not a magic number of any sorts?
I wasn't 100% involved in the running of the 57 financial scenarios.
Right.
And I can't recognize a member of the audience to speak, I don't believe. But somebody from the authority could ask for a member of the audience to speak if they'd want to do that. But I believe it was based on, it was never intended to use the full surplus because there will be a time frame here of needing some of that because of how the cash could come out and things such as that. Yes, there will be a bond sale that will bring in proceeds, but just the overall timing of the debt service and things such as that.
But I see some of our capital needs changing if this project proceeds.
Yes.
So, I think that's another thing that maybe will help is we need to get more finalized the overall
Project.
all the projects, because, XYZ that, a year ago we might have done as a capital improvement now might be as this renovation project.
Correct. And the other side of it is keeping in mind that the initial up to 30 million out of the permanent fund and the selling of those bonds, that with the debt service will be funded by that 1/4 of 1% sales tax and 3% lodging tax additional, is also to build the surplus, the permanent fund back up to around the level it is today, which will then fund the capital improvements for the entire new reimagined FARGODOME with the conference center addition on it as well.
But you can ask the question from a different angle, kind of going on what he was talking about is, let's say that after going through the project, one of the HVA units goes down, it's $1 million. Well, we might just have to pull out a permanent fund to pay for it. I mean, that just.
That would be treated no differently than if it happened today.
Right, so
That it's down and it has to be fixed, so we would be bringing that through building management, would be bringing that through building finance and authority, running up through, so.
I guess what was, my point being is that if from access in the permanent fund is $10, $11, $12 million and something happens that we have to draw on, so it's there.
Yep.
Okay, so basically what I think I'm getting here is in this initial paragraph that we may send forward, we're not there yet, but that we may send forward, in that last paragraph, it might say the FARGODOME Authority commits to up to $3 million from the permanent fund toward 30. Sorry, what's a zero here and again? With friends? Nothing. Toward the remodel, and then requests that. Because you're committing, right, I think?
Again, this was written down just because if it goes past 2 lines, I forget what it's supposed to say.
Yep.
Or what it could say. So, Rick, correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying that
I'm putting it
under
in
bullet
the,
1, approved suggested funding for this project to be a combination of existing FARGODOME permanent fund cash and proceeds
yep,
up to $30 million, or
Fund.
FARGODOME permanent fund
$30 million.
up
Yep.
to $30 million cash and proceeds from a 20-year bond. Sure.
yeah.
Someone want to modify that, make that motion?
There hasn't been a motion made
No,
to
we
be
haven't
modified
had a
yet.
discussion beforehand because I didn't.
This was part of the overall discussion, so nobody's made a motion yet.
Is there, now, with Ian, is there, making that change, is it, that 30 million that we're talking about now, is it could be part of, this proposed idea, motion that's there, or is it better to be that 30 million by its own standalone?
I don't think there's any problem with doing what Commissioner Steve, what I think he's going to make the motion to, which is to amend it within this motion to say 30 million. I think that's perfectly fine.
Not amended within the motion, just amended within the language, because it's not a motion, yet. Just make it a motion.
You should be the lawyer.
Told you.
Tried to get his mother to put him through law school.
All right, I just thought it was a question to ask, because I saw some other things, I thought we should just address it, and then we can make the motion as appropriate, I think, so.
All right. Any other questions?
Mr. Chair, move to approve the motion, approve suggested funding for the project to be the combination of existing FARGODOME permanent fund up to $30 million and proceeds from 20-year bond issue. Said bond issue to be retired through the new sales tax to include 20 years, 3% state citywide lodging tax and 20 year 1/4% sales tax. Implemented by the proposed tax required change to the city of Fargo. Change to the city of Fargo home rule charter via the citywide special election to be held on December 23rd and coordinated with the city of Fargo and staff.
Did you say it was to be held on Tuesday, December 5th?
December 5th, right?
Yeah, Tuesday, December 5th.
Yeah.
Second.
So we have a first and we have a second.
Correct.
Correct, yep. Any discussion? Okay.
Nancy,
Absolutely.
Blake,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Troy,
Yes.
David.
Yes. All right, motion carries. Any additional items?
did we was there a decision reached?
October 2nd.
October 3rd, Tuesday? Okay. I knew it wasn't the 20th, but I didn't hear the other date, so.
You'll send out your invite.
Will you send it out?
To move some of the funds, especially now that we're committing 30 million, move some of those funds to a more fixed type of.
I think that'll be
They're coming in next.
perfect timing with the state investment board will be at the September 20th Finance and Building Committee meeting.
Okay.
So that'd be a good question to ask them. And also that is typically, historically, been under some of the operations and purview of the City of Fargo Director of Finance to suggest. The FARGODOME Authority
So.
has to agree to it.
Suppose that person has told them about this commitment yet, so that they know before the meeting that we're gonna ask that question?
Again, I don't believe through Robert's Rules of Parliamentary Procedure that I can call on an audience member, but that would
If
be.
you could?
Okay, good. Might be a good idea.